Hey y'all, I'm Teresa.
And Mark.
And we're your host for
Tell Me That Story,
where we tell you true stories of real life happenings.
So stick around, because you never know what you might hear. So a while back we did a show about songwriting, and I talked about the stories behind the song, and
I think, was that podcast? It was You Can Go On?
You Can Go On, yeah, that was the name of it. And we were writing songs for a CD that we were going to do. It was the one we'd end up doing in Nashville when we were with New City Talent. And I had prayed for a song and ended up the whole CD being original songs. We ended up writing all of them. Well, during that time, I was praying for a Christmas song. And this was not a Christmas CD. I just wanted to write a Christmas song to go on this CD as like a bonus track. So I kept praying, Lord, give me this song, give me a Christmas song to write. And this went on for weeks. And I finally just kind of gave up on it. I said, well, maybe it's just not time for this. It's not going to happen. So I'm just going to put it out of my mind and just go on with what we've got. So deer season rolled around, and
we all know how you love deer season.
Oh, I used to love to deer hunt. But I had found this place during turkey season that I wanted to go back and deer hunt, and it was way off the main road into the woods.
That's when we were living in Mississippi, right?
Yeah. So you had to drive the end of this government road and park, and then you had to walk about a mile and a half down into this big, huge creek bottom. It's beautiful in there. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah. Big
hardwood timber. It was one of those places where you could sit, and whether you saw a deer or not, you could just enjoy it because it was so beautiful, And so I drove to this place. I got my climbing stand out of my truck and put it on my back. Now, a climbing stand, for those of you that don't know, it's two pieces you put on a tree. You stand on the bottom, you sit on the top, and you lock your feet in the bottom, and you do a stand-up and sit-down motion, and it actually climbs up the tree.
Oh, yeah.
And it's got straps on it, and you carry it like a backpack. So I walked this thing way down in there. Man, it was a long walk, and it was downhill all the way going in. That means it's uphill all the way coming out.
Yeah, really.
So I get down in there, and I get climbed up in my tree, and I get settled in, and I'm sitting there, and it's just such a beautiful place. I'm looking around, enjoying being there. And these words start coming to my mind. And the words was, the angel came to Mary.
Oh, yeah.
Said, I have good news to bring. And I thought, oh, no, this is not a good time for this.
This is not the time.
This is not a good time for this. I didn't have a pen. I didn't have a pencil. I didn't have nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing to write with at all.
That was not the time that you had pen and paper.
Yeah, so I was thinking, well, I'll remember these words, but words kept coming. And the whole time when the words were coming, the tune was coming. It was all coming together.
Did it normally happen like that?
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm singing these words over in my head. I'm thinking, okay, I got to sing these over and over so I can remember them. Well, more words are coming, more than I can store in my vault, So I'm thinking,
in the vault,
I got to do something. And I kind of got mad. I was like, I just got down in here. I walked all the way down in here. Now I got to climb out of this tree
and finally get
and walk all the way back out. And I was kind of aggravated, and it was almost like, and I'm not saying I heard God say this, but I thought, He's testing me to see, okay, do you want to deer hunt, or do you want to write the song you've been praying for?
Is it worth it?
Yeah, which one do you want to do the most?
Which one will you do?
So I got down out of the tree. I was not happy about it. And I put my stand on my back. Now, remember, words are still coming to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to remember them. I'm singing them over in my head. It's over and over and over, trying to remember them. And every time I'd get to the end of where the last word just came, more words are coming. I'm like, oh, God, no way I'm going to remember this. So I rush and finally get back to the truck. And I'm in, like I said, it was uphill all the way out. I'm breathing hard. I can't hardly breathe. I'm so tired.
And you trying to sing?
And I threw my stand in the back of the truck, and I got in the truck and started looking for something to write with, and didn't have anything.
Oh, I know.
No pen, no pencil, nothing. Words still coming. I said, what am I going to do? So I remembered
This
At
is the
one time-
redneck part of him.
Yeah,
that's
this is
to come out.
this
y'all.
is the redneck ingenuity. Yeah, if you don't have what you need, you use what you have. That's the
That's right.
definition of redneck ingenuity.
Well, now they like to call it a life hack. Life hack.
Yeah, yeah. But I remembered at one time I used to hunt at this management area, and when you went in, you had a card you had to fill out. You had to put your name, your tag number, all this information. Then when you got through with your hunt, you had to write if you shot anything, if you harvested anything, all this stuff, and you had to drop it in this box on your way out. Well, I remember going to the management area one day, and I didn't have a pencil or a pen or anything to write with. And I pulled out a rifle bullet. Now, those of you that hunt and use a soft point bullet that has a lead tip, it'll write like a pencil.
Now, can you describe the way that thing looks? There's got to be some people that's going to be listening that they might not.
Well,
know.
it's just a brass bullet with a little lead tip
It's
on the
one
end
of those
of
long
it.
kind, right?
Yeah, it's got just a little lead tip on the end of it, and it will write. It doesn't write very dark, but it writes enough that you can see it, because I filled that card out with it and put it in that box. So I pulled out a rifle bullet, and I said, I can write with this. And then I didn't have anything to write on.
Mr.
So I
Redneck.
started digging and digging. I looked in the console, under the seats, everywhere. I didn't have anything to write on. Opened the glove compartment, and the only thing in there that I could write on was a State Farm insurance envelope with my insurance information in it.
Yeah.
So I pulled that out, and I wrote that song sitting in my truck in the middle of the woods with a bullet on a State Farm envelope.
And I think to this day I still have that in the safe. I kept that.
Yeah, I knew we had
think
kept
I
it, but I didn't know
yeah.
what had happened to it. I would love to find
Yeah,
it.
I think I have it in the safe.
And I wrote the whole song sitting right there.
Yeah.
Didn't get to go hunt, but
You were done by
least-
then. You said,
Yeah.
I remember you coming home and you were like, you had it and everything, and you were like, and after that, I wasn't walking back in.
no, I was done. I was not walking back down in there. It was too far. So I wrote my song, and I came home. And it ended up, we put it on the CD.
Yeah,
It's the name of it was Mary.
right.
And we didn't sing the song a whole lot, but we had this place that we used to go sing that was
It was a retirement home for
retirement
nuns.
home for nuns.
Yeah, they loved that song.
I didn't even know there was such a thing. And we got invited there to sing.
It was called Chattawa.
Chattawa, yeah.
Wasn't that the name of it?
That was the name of the town, yeah.
Town. Okay.
But I don't remember the name of the place. Something
Yeah.
Pines or something.
I don't know. But
Whispering Pines, maybe? I don't remember. But anyway, they loved that song.
Yeah,
Of course,
they did.
anything to do with Mary, they loved that.
Right. But, I mean, it was a good song. I liked it. We did it. Yeah, Christmas song.
Yeah. It didn't make the charts, but I can promise you one thing. It was probably the only Christmas song that's ever been written on a State Farm envelope with a bullet.
And that's not the only Christmas song you've written. You've got another one that,
Yeah, I
that we
wrote
sang
another
a lot
one.
more.
Yeah.
And it was called
Jesus is his name.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, both of those are good songs, good Christmas songs. And seemed like I remember you saying that sometimes you would wake up and you would have words going. Seemed like I remember you telling about having a little notebook by your bed, and you were going to try to wake up and write those words down, and you wrote something
Yeah.
down, and the next morning
Well-
it was just gibberish. You couldn't even read it.
Well, Gerald Crabb told me that. He said, get you a little notebook and a pen and put it on your nightstand by your bed.
Yeah.
He said, and if you wake up in the middle of the night with words, jot them down.
Yeah.
Because if you don't write it down, you don't have to write it all down. If you can write a little bit of it down, most of the time you can remember. The rest will come to you. But if you don't write any of it down, you won't
It's
remember any
gone.
of it. It's gone. Because I've had that happen. I'd wake up and I'd say, man, as good
was
as this
good.
is, there's no way I'll forget it.
Yeah.
And go back to sleep, and the next morning can't remember one word of it. It's
Yeah.
just completely gone. And you don't get it back. So I did that. I put a little notepad and a pen by my bed, and I woke up in the middle of the night one night out of a dead sleep with these words going, and I just reached over and thought I wrote it down. And I got up the next morning, picked it up, and I couldn't read it. It looked like chicken scratch. It
Yeah,
was
that
terrible.
was
I
funny.
couldn't read a word of it.
It was sad, but it was funny.
Yeah. Well, that didn't work. But yeah.
I remember having a dream one night, and I woke up, and in the dream, I was singing a song in the dream, and I had never heard that before. It was, and so a lot of times what you call what I write, you'll say that it's like prayer music.
Yeah.
Or something, and I guess that's kind of what this was. But I remember having that dream. It was still very, very vivid to me. And then I wrote down the words of what I was singing in the dream.
Yeah. Yeah. And you wrote a song about dementia care
Oh yeah.
that is absolutely phenomenal.
Well, you helped me with that. You helped me with that song.
Yeah, I helped a little bit, but you did most of it.
Yeah, that the reason that I wrote that is it wasn't I was inspired to write that or God gave me that. It was that I had a friend named Niecy Mabry, and she was over putting together a dementia program every year. And I think 2 days in advance, she says, I want you to sing, at the event. And so I can't remember, did she say I want you to write a song or I want you to sing? But anyhow,
I think she said she wanted you to write a song.
Yeah. She wanted me to write a song. I'm like, well, it don't just come that easy like that.
Yeah.
And so we ended up, I come home and I was able to write that song, and you helped me with it. We put that together, but I think it turned out good. And then we ended up trying to make us a little video kind of to go with that, with to the best of our ability that we could at the time.
Yeah, we'll post a link to that video on this in the show notes so people can go watch it. It's a great song. It's called "Remember for Me."
Oh yeah, that's that one. But that's not the one that Mark wrote. Mark's was Mary.
Yeah, but this dementia care song, it's a phenomenal song. I can't hardly listen to it without crying. It's amazing. It's an amazing song.
Well, it kind of goes from some of the trainings that we had and what we've experienced watching them, and just talking about how they they may tell you the same story over and over again, but you need to listen to that story because there's going to come a day, and I'll get choked up. There may come a day when I don't remember my story, and I need you to remember it for me. Oh my. Okay. Didn't expect that to happen. But,
yeah, I can't hardly listen to it. I get all choked up.
So I need you to listen to my story, so you can tell that story back to me if I need to hear it.
Yeah.
Okay, we having a crying moment, y'all.
But yeah, I'll put a link to that video in the show notes so y'all can listen to it and watch the video. It turned out really good, I think. And I told you, that song needs to go out. Somebody needs to record that song.
And, we just did another podcast, and we were actually talking about volunteering and how where we used to work at the nursing home, and we're doing volunteer work at the nursing home again in Tennessee now. But so if y'all hear this one and you hadn't heard that one yet, then go and check that one out. It's a really good one.
I'll drop the song in at the end of this episode where people can listen to it. And then I'll put the link to the video in the show notes so they can go watch it on YouTube.
Okay, all right.
Well, that was a quick story about me writing the song with a bullet on the State Farm envelope.
Yeah, I love that song, though.
Yeah.
But I think I like Jesus Is His Name even better than that one.
Yeah, it's a better song.
It's a really good. But that's just such a cool story. And so you were talking about how you feel like, like it was a test.
Yeah.
And I do believe that, that God does give opportunities of, okay, this is something that you really, really want, but you've been praying for this. So are you going to crucify your flesh?
Right.
To get this, what you've been.
Yeah.
Right.
And, when we talk about God testing us, He don't do that so He can see what we're going to do. He knows what we're going to do.
Yeah. He
does that so we can learn from it. It's not about, Him seeing what we're going to do. It's about us seeing what we're going to do in that situation, how we're going to react. Yeah, I could have stayed there in that deer stand and deer hunting and lost every word of that, more than likely. But I knew I had to go and I had to write it, you know. But and if it didn't do anything else, it blessed those little ladies at that retirement home.
Oh, wow, it sure did.
Yeah.
They would smile so big. You could just see such joy
Yeah.
come on them, you know. I loved it.
You know, I'm going to throw this little story in here too. It's really, you know, when you do what we were doing, you travel and you know, we were doing 100 and 120 dates a year and working full-time jobs too. And it's tough. It's tough. You may be 12 hours away sometime and have to drive all night and get home and, you know, change clothes and go to work. You know, it was tough. But we had a lady come to our table one night. I don't even remember where we were singing, but this lady came to our table. She wanted a CD, but she said she didn't have any money. And she looked down and out. That's the best way to say it.
She'd been through it.
Yeah, you could tell she was going through a hard time. And I said, well, you know what, I'll give you a CD.
Oh, I know exactly what you're fixing to say.
And we gave her this CD. And we had done that many times. I didn't really think anything else about it, you know. Well, several months later, we were at our table at another church, and this lady walked up to us, dressed nice, hair fixed, pretty, makeup on. She said, you remember me? And I said, no, I really don't, you know. Of course you remember me, but, you know, there was 300 people there. I don't remember every person that was there, you know. You know how that is.
Yeah.
She said, y'all gave me a CD, and I remembered who she was. And she said, let me tell you what happened. She said, I had got a gun, and I got in my car, and I was going somewhere. I was driving to a spot to commit suicide. And she said, I came around the curve, and the sun was shining in my face, and she said, I reached up and pulled the sun visor down, and y'all's CD fell in my lap.
Yeah.
And she said, I put it in my CD player, and God spoke to me through that.
Right.
And she said, I gave my life to him, and I've been living for him ever since.
Yeah. That was an awesome.
It makes all those miles worth it.
Yeah.
You know, when you hear a story like that, if you can change one person's life,
right.
If something you do can touch one person and change their life, it's worth it all.
Right.
You know, and I've always said, you know, if I can see one person saved, it's worth it all. If you save one person from hell,
right,
it's worth a lifetime of work.
Yeah, and through all that also, I would just like to give a plug out there for these evangelists that's traveling, for these,
absolutely,
these gospel singers that's out there. You know, it's not like, I don't feel like, especially gospel music, you know, Christian music, whatever you want to call it. I call it gospel music. You know, a lot of times they, you know, traveling like I said, we didn't really charge. We just received a love offering. And I remember we would drive sometimes. I know one time we drove 14 hours, and we were in debt for like it was like $1,200. $1,200 in gas
for that big monster motorhome we were traveling in,
and you know, to try to be comfortable. And then we came home with it was less than $100.
Yeah, I think it was $74, I think.
We had 3 dates that we were doing.
One of them canceled while we were in the parking lot.
In the parking lot. One of them tried to cancel. And then we did the other one. But anyhow, it was like less than $50 for one. The other one canceled, and then less than $50 for the other one. And we had spent $1,200 in gas.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then drove home discouraged, you know, just really down and out, discouraged. But we got home, and, you know, I was praying. We had a note due that was on the sound system that we had, and we didn't have the money to pay it. And we had just put all this gas on this credit card and to go out and try to tell somebody about Jesus.
Yeah.
And I was praying, and I was like, God, you know what we have need of. And I got a call, and somebody wanted to know if we would come and sing at a Valentine's banquet.
Yeah.
A mile from our house.
Yep.
Was it about a mile? Maybe a little. No, it was a little. It was longer than that because it's.
It was close though.
It was less than 5 miles from our house, and we went and sang in a fellowship hall for a Valentine banquet, and we got every dime of what the
to the penny.
Yeah, to the very penny of what the note was on the sound system.
Yep.
For singing.
Yeah, I'm thinking it was $147, I think, if I remember right. And we got,
but we didn't have it.
Exactly the amount that we needed to pay that note.
And then we went, like, I think it was like the next weekend, we went to another church, and it was pretty close to home. And we got all the money back for the gas that we had spent.
Yep.
That was the $1,200
yep.
in one church, you know.
God always took care of us.
He took care of us, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes our faith was stretched.
Yeah.
But he did. He took care. But what I'm saying is, you know, help them out. If they come to your church and sing, help them out. Buy their product.
Yeah.
Put something extra in that love offering.
Yep.
Even if your church is giving them a certain amount, they're going to need it.
Yeah. It's a hard way to make a living. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you're one of the big elite groups, you're not making money. You're sustaining.
You know, you try to have some kind of motorhome or bus or something that you can travel in where you can try to be comfortable because, you know, unloading and loading and all the stuff, and you've got your equipment and everything also and your product, and, you know, you need it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess that's about all we've got. I just wanted to tell that quick story about the writing the song with a bullet. But y'all come back and see us next time. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Look us up on, we're on YouTube, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, pretty much all the major podcast players, we're there. If the player that you listen on gives you the option to rate and review the show. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on YouTube, subscribe. Give us a like, give us a subscription, and leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Love to hear your thoughts.
We'd like to hear your story as well. So
absolutely,
put a little brief story in there and let us hear from you. And we also have a little Facebook group that you can go in, and you know, you can share your story up in there, and we love to hear it. So thank y'all for coming. Y'all have a great night, and we'll see you next time.
See y'all later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I need you to remember for me when I can't recall your name. I need you there just the same when memories don't come so easily. I need you to remember for me. I need you to remember for me when I can't recall your name. I need you there just the same when memories don't come so easily. I need you to remember for me. I need you to remember the things I can't recall, the stories of my yesterday. I want to hear them all. Tell me of my loved ones that I have held so deep, and all the special moments that have become unclear. I need you to remember for me when I can't recall your name. I need you there just the same when memories don't come so easily. I just kiss my cheek and hold my hand. I need you to remember for me. When I can't recall your name, I need you there just the same. When memories don't come so easily, I need you to remember for me.